welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. It's a cold, rainy Friday evening, and the theater's marquee blurs in the rain-streaked windshield of my car. Amanda had been so enthusiastic about tonight's show, a long-awaited revival of a classic play she'd always wanted to see. But as I pull up to the curb, the passenger seat remains empty. The dissonance between her bright anticipation and her sudden change of heart is unsettling. Not feeling well, she had said over the phone, her voice tired and unconvincing. Just go without me. I grab my umbrella, shielding myself from the downpour, and make my way into the theater, determined to make the best of it. But as the lights dim and the actors begin their performance, the play unfolds like a languid dream. The dialogue drags, and the plot meanders with such monotony that my thoughts wander far from the stage. By the intermission, I've had enough. I slip out into the rain, my mind a tangle of frustration and concern. Amanda's vague excuse nags at me. I decide to cut the evening short and head home, hoping for a warm cup of tea and some answers. The drive home is a blur of headlights and rain. The usual comfort of my house feels distant tonight. I try calling Amanda again, but her phone rings unanswered. Panic flutters in my chest. What if something's wrong? I know my neighbor, Mr. Jensen, is an avid observer of the neighborhood. He has an almost unsettling knack for knowing everyone's business. If Amanda's somewhere nearby, he might have seen her. Maybe he can shed some light on her whereabouts. I park in front of his house and ring the doorbell, my finger tapping impatiently against the cold metal. The door swings open after a moment, revealing Mr. Jensen's familiar, balding face. He peers at me with a mix of curiosity and surprise. "Evening, Mr. Jensen," I say, forcing a smile. "I was wondering if you've seen Amanda. She's not answering her phone, and I'm a bit worried." Mr. Jensen's eyes narrow slightly, a glimmer of intrigue passing through them. "Amanda? No, I haven't seen her tonight. Why don't you come in and we can talk about it?" Reluctantly, I step inside. The hallway is cluttered with framed photos and odd trinkets, Mr. Jensen's hallmarks of a life spent observing and collecting. The sound of running water from the bathroom interrupts the quiet. I glance at Mr. Jensen, who seems oddly calm. "Is someone else here?" I ask, trying to mask the growing unease in my voice. Before he can respond, the bathroom door swings open, and out steps Amanda, naked, wrapped only in a towel, her hair damp and clinging to her shoulders. My breath catches in my throat. The scene is surreal, like something out of a nightmare. Amanda's eyes lock with mine, wide and shocked. "What are you doing here?" she stammers, clutching the towel tightly. Mr. Jensen clears his throat, breaking the awkward silence. "I see we found the missing lady," he says, his tone laced with a touch of satisfaction. I stand there, feeling the ground shift beneath me. The shock of seeing Amanda in such a compromising situation mingles with a deep sense of betrayal. I feel broken, each breath heavier than the last. Without waiting for an explanation, I turn on my heel and stumble back to the door. I need air, space to think. My mind races as I drive home, each thought more jumbled and angry than the last. Once inside my empty house, I try to calm myself, but the anger and betrayal simmer just beneath the surface. The seeds of revenge begin to sprout. The trust that once held our marriage together feels like it's been ripped away in an instant. In the days that follow, I act with purpose. I start documenting everything, emails, texts, conversations, careful not to leave a trace. I consult a lawyer, and the process begins. The divorce is swift and brutal. Amanda's name is erased from every corner of my life, and she's nowhere to be found. The finality of it all is cold and unyielding. I never see her again, and the weight of my decision settles heavily on my shoulders. I often wonder if I'll ever truly find closure or if the actions driven by a moment of raw betrayal have irreversibly changed me. For now, though, the chapter of our lives has ended. The stage is empty, and the curtain has fallen on what was once a shared story. The morning after the divorce is finalized, I'm still grappling with the abruptness of it all. The house feels hollow, the spaces Amanda once occupied now silent and vacant. As I sit at the kitchen table, the newspaper spread out in front of me, I can't shake the image of her stepping out of Mr. Jensen's bathroom. I should have felt relief, but instead, a gnawing sense of unfinished business lingers. The phone rings, snapping me out of my reverie. It's a call from my friend and former college roommate, Kyle. He's one of the few people I've shared this ordeal with, and his voice is a welcome distraction. "Hey, man. I just heard about what happened," Kyle says, his tone a mix of sympathy and curiosity. "Mind if I drop by? I think we need to talk." "Sure, come over," I reply, relieved to have someone to talk to. I could use the company. Within the hour, Kyle arrives, carrying a six-pack of beer and a determined look. He's always had a knack for showing up with exactly what's needed for a situation. We settle into the living room, where the silence is now broken by the low hum of the television. "So, what's the deal?" Kyle asks, handing me a beer. "I heard some of it, but I'm missing the details." "What happened with Amanda?" I take a long swig, feeling the cool liquid ease the tension in my throat. It's hard to explain. I went to the theater last night. Amanda wasn't feeling well, so I went alone. When I got home, she wasn't there. Her phone was off, so I went to Mr. Jensen's place to see if he'd seen her. Kyle's eyebrows rise. "Wait, the nosy neighbor." "Yeah, that's the one," I confirm, rubbing my temples. When I got there, she was coming out of his bathroom, naked. It was. I don't even know how to describe it. It felt like I was in some terrible dream. Kyle's eyes widen in disbelief. "Damn, man. That's rough. Did you get any explanation?" I shake my head, the memory still fresh and painful. "No, nothing. She just looked shocked and confused, and I left before she could say anything. The next day, I went through with the divorce. I haven't seen her since." Kyle looks thoughtful. "You know, it's odd that she was there. Maybe there's more to this story. Have you thought about digging a bit deeper?" Before I can answer, the doorbell rings. I glance at Kyle, who shrugs. I get up and open the door to find a tall, well-dressed man standing on the porch. He introduces himself as David, an investigator hired by Amanda's attorney. "I'm here to discuss the terms of your divorce settlement," David says, showing me his ID. "Amanda has requested some changes, and I need to go over them with you." I let him in, feeling a pang of unease. Kyle watches with a skeptical eye as David unfolds a set of documents on the coffee table. "So, what's the deal?" I ask, trying to keep my voice steady. "What changes does Amanda want?" David adjusts his glasses and starts explaining. "Amanda is requesting a revision of the asset division and an extension on alimony payments. She claims she has evidence that could impact the settlement." My heart races. "Evidence of what?" David looks uncomfortable but continues. "She hasn't provided specifics yet, but it's serious enough to warrant a legal review. We need to discuss how to proceed." Kyle's eyes narrow as he processes this new information. Why would she suddenly need to change the terms? Seems like she's hiding something. David shifts uncomfortably. "I can't speculate, but it's not unusual for parties to request modifications. If you're interested, I can set up a meeting with Amanda's attorney to clarify." After David leaves, Kyle and I are left to contemplate the unsettling news. "This doesn't add up," Kyle says, pacing the room. "Why would she need to change the settlement now?" And what could she possibly have that's so important? I nod, feeling a mix of anger and curiosity. I need to find out. There's something she's not telling me. I'm going to meet with her attorney and see what's really going on. Later that week, I sit in a sterile conference room at Amanda's attorney's office, the tension palpable. The attorney, a sharp-looking woman named Evelyn, reviews the documents before speaking. Mr. Collins, Amanda has requested these changes due to new evidence she's discovered, Evelyn explains. She's concerned about certain financial discrepancies and has legal grounds to challenge the settlement. I lean forward, my curiosity piqued. What kind of discrepancies? Evelyn's gaze is unreadable. I'm afraid I can't divulge the specifics until the formal meeting between all parties. However, I suggest preparing for a potentially lengthy negotiation. As I leave the office, the weight of uncertainty presses down on me. I need answers, and the more I dig, the more questions arise. Why would Amanda need to alter the settlement? What is she hiding? And most importantly, why did her behavior that night feel so out of character? As I drive home, my mind is a whirlwind of confusion and resolve. Whatever secrets Amanda holds, I'm determined to uncover them. The shadows of our past are far from gone, and the intrigue surrounding her actions promises that the story is far from over. The city is cloaked in a haze of gray as I walk into the downtown coffee shop where I've agreed to meet Amanda's attorney, Evelyn. The chilly wind bites at my face, but I barely notice. My mind is preoccupied with the upcoming meeting. The stakes feel higher now. If Amanda has evidence that could alter the settlement, it could mean a prolonged legal battle. I arrive early and claim a secluded table in the back, trying to ignore the low hum of conversation and the clinking of coffee cups around me. Moments later, Evelyn walks in, her professional demeanor intact despite the casual setting. She's wearing a navy blazer and a stern expression, which does little to soothe my growing anxiety. Mr. Collins, she says, extending her hand. Thank you for meeting with me. Ms. Morris, I reply, shaking her hand. Let's get right to it. What's this evidence Amanda claims to have? We sit down, and Evelyn takes out a file from her briefcase. Amanda has uncovered some discrepancies regarding the financial documents we used during the divorce settlement. Specifically, she believes there are assets that were not accounted for. I lean in, intrigued. Assets? What kind of assets? Evelyn flips through the pages, pulling out a series of bank statements and property records. These are preliminary documents. Amanda's contention is that there were investments and properties that were either undervalued or omitted entirely. She's prepared to provide further details, but she wanted to ensure that everything was handled correctly. I scan the documents, my mind racing. Why didn't she mention any of this during the initial settlement? Good question, Evelyn says, her tone cautious. It's possible she didn't realize the full scope of the discrepancies until recently. Or she might have been advised to gather more evidence before coming forward. My frustration mounts. So, what's the next step? Evelyn smooths out her papers and looks at me seriously. We need to review these documents thoroughly. If there is indeed something amiss, it could impact the current settlement. I recommend you get your own legal and financial advisors involved immediately. As we finish up, Evelyn stands, her expression neutral but firm. I'll coordinate a meeting between you, Amanda, and myself soon. In the meantime, please review these documents carefully. After Evelyn leaves, I head to my car, feeling the weight of the situation settle heavily on my shoulders. I need to act quickly. I call Kyle, who's been a supportive friend throughout this ordeal. Kyle, I need your help, I say when he picks up. Amanda's attorney gave me some documents that suggest there were financial discrepancies during the divorce. I need to go over them with a financial advisor. Can you help me find someone? I'm on it, Kyle replies. I'll call around and see if I can get a recommendation. In the meantime, let's meet up later and go over everything together. The following morning, Kyle and I sit in the cluttered office of a financial advisor named Laura. She's a sharp-eyed woman in her late 40s, with a no-nonsense attitude that immediately puts me at ease. "So, you've got a mess of documents here," Laura says, flipping through the papers I brought. "Let's see what Amanda's attorney is concerned about." Kyle and I watch as Laura examines the statements and records meticulously. After what seems like an eternity, Laura looks up, her face inscrutable. "There are definitely some irregularities," she says finally. "It looks like there are several transactions and assets that weren't fully disclosed. Some investments appear to be undervalued, and there are properties that weren't included in the initial settlement." My heart sinks. What does this mean for the divorce settlement? Laura leans back, her expression thoughtful. "It means that Amanda might have a valid reason to contest the settlement. If these discrepancies are significant, they could potentially lead to a revision of the terms or even a legal challenge." I feel a wave of frustration and anxiety. How do I counter this? I don't want to drag this out any longer. Laura's eyes are steady. "You need to prepare for a thorough review and possibly renegotiate the terms. It might also be wise to gather any additional evidence or documentation that could support your position." As Laura explains further, my phone buzzes with a text message. It's from an unknown number. The message reads, "I know what happened with Amanda. Meet me at the old warehouse on 5th Street tonight at 8 p.m. My pulse quickens. The message is cryptic and unsettling. I show the text to Kyle and Laura, both of whom look concerned. "Do you think it's a prank or something serious?" Kyle asks. "I don't know," I reply, feeling a mix of curiosity and apprehension. "But I think I need to find out. It might be connected to everything that's happening." Laura nods. "Be careful. And remember, you don't have to go alone. Take someone with you if you decide to investigate." As the day wanes, the old warehouse looms in my mind. I try to focus on preparing for the potential legal and financial battles ahead, but the text message is a constant distraction. The warehouse is a place of forgotten memories and long-abandoned projects. The thought of meeting a stranger there feels both dangerous and intriguing. By nightfall, I'm standing in front of the dilapidated building, the shadows stretching long and eerie. I take a deep breath and push open the heavy, rusted door, stepping into the darkness. The sense of unease is palpable as I wait for whoever sent the message to show up. The intrigue surrounding Amanda and the unexpected twist in this story keeps me on edge. Whatever happens next, I'm ready to confront it head-on. The old warehouse is a cavernous shell of forgotten industry. As I step inside, the sound of my footsteps echoes through the empty space. My heart races as I scan the darkness, the only light coming from the occasional flicker of a dying street lamp outside. The text message has led me here, but to what end? The warehouse is eerily quiet. I'm not alone, though. I can sense it. The musty air is thick with tension. I pull out my phone, the screen illuminating the immediate area, and text Kyle to let him know where I am. He replies quickly, saying he'll be on his way. "Hello?" I call out, my voice trembling slightly. "Who sent the message?" There's no immediate response, only the unsettling silence of the warehouse. I hear a creak behind me and turn to see a shadowy figure emerging from behind a stack of old crates. The figure steps into the dim light, revealing a familiar face, David, the investigator from Amanda's lawyer's office. "David?" I say, confusion and anger mingling in my voice. "What's going on here?" David smirks, his eyes glinting with a mix of mischief and satisfaction. "I'm glad you came. I needed to speak with you in person." I take a cautious step forward. "Speak? About what?" David takes a deep breath, seemingly enjoying the dramatic pause. Amanda never intended to contest the settlement. She was coerced into it. The real deception was not her but me. My mind reels. Coerced? By whom? And why? David laughs bitterly. You see, Amanda and I had an arrangement. She needed a way to settle her debts and clear her name. I was supposed to help her by providing leverage. But things got complicated. Before I can respond, Kyle bursts through the warehouse door, his face a mix of concern and determination. David. What the hell is going on? David turns to Kyle, his smirk fading. Ah, your friend. I suppose it's time to clear the air. Amanda's debts weren't from gambling or bad investments. She was blackmailed by someone else, someone who wanted to use her as a pawn in a larger scheme. I look at David, disbelief etched on my face. And you're telling me this now? Why? David's gaze is cold. Because I'm done playing this game. Amanda's life was ruined, not by her own actions, but by someone who manipulated her and me. I couldn't stand being a part of it anymore. Kyle steps closer, his anger palpable. So, what's your plan now? You just walk away. David nods. I'm done. But I wanted you to know the truth. The real enemy here is the one who orchestrated all of this, and I'm not sticking around to be their puppet. I take a deep breath, my mind racing with the revelation. And what about Amanda? Where is she? David shakes his head. I don't know. She's vanished since the fallout. But I have a feeling she's trying to disappear for good. A wave of anger and betrayal washes over me. So, we've been manipulated by everyone involved. Amanda, you, and whoever's pulling the strings. David's eyes are tired. Yes. And I'm sorry for my part in it. I can't undo the damage, but at least now you know the truth. With that, David turns and leaves the warehouse, disappearing into the night. The reality of the situation crashes down on me. I feel a mix of rage and sorrow. My marriage, my trust, everything has been shattered by a web of deceit. Kyle puts a hand on my shoulder. We need to get out of here. There's nothing more we can do tonight. As we leave the warehouse, I feel the weight of the past few weeks settling heavily on me. The betrayal from Amanda, the deceit from David, and the manipulations from an unseen orchestrator have left me feeling empty and disillusioned. Back at my house, I sit alone in the dark, the silence pressing in on me. I think about Amanda, about the life we had and how it all fell apart. The realization that everything was a facade, a carefully constructed lie, stings deeply. The finality of it all is crushing. I've learned that even the people closest to us can be entangled in deceit and manipulation. The truth has been revealed, but it has come too late to mend what was broken. As the night deepens, I find myself reflecting on the cost of betrayal and the complex web of lies that led us here. Amanda and I will never reconcile. Our paths have diverged irrevocably. The love we once had has been replaced by a bitter understanding of how easily trust can be shattered. The story ends here, with a somber realization. In the aftermath of the deception and betrayal, the only certainty is that the past can never be reclaimed. The characters in this tale, Amanda, David, and myself, have each been irrevocably changed. And as the darkness of the warehouse fades into the night, so too does the finality of our parting.